Hi everyone, I am Clara and today I'm reviewing Maglev Metro. It's from Bezier Games and it's basically trying to optimize your actions in order to be able to pick up passengers, drop off passengers, build tracks and build stations. What did I think of this? Beautiful production? Well, that's what we'll talk about, isn't it, eh? Alrighty, so I picked up Maglev Metro not based on the reviews of the game, but because it's Maglev. It's talking about Maglev trains, and so I am a scientist and I research superconductors. And in my office, I have a Maglev train track. So I was super stoked about the idea of having this game that was based on technology that I'm sort of working on now. I mean, with these games, with science board games, you're never going to quite get the science, right? But it's a shame that they didn't at least start with, cities that were already using maglev technology. There's a few that have been trialing it, and yeah, they won't be extensive, but it was a shame that they chose two cities that, the idea that they're going to have maglev trains in the near future it's unlikely. I'd say it's possible, but it's unlikely. And there was no sort of, and I didn't feel there was much sort of background to what the title meant, which was a real shame. But that's not what the game's about. It's not a science game, okay? So what is the game about? Well, on your turn, you have two actions or maybe more, and you're placing meeples onto this board. So your game is on this board effectively. And what you do is you get these meeples by picking up and dropping off things and building stations, and you'll put them in the different spaces. You can't really see that, but you place them on the board. And these are dual layer board, but so these meeples are beautiful. These meeples are really, really pretty. And the board's really cool dual layered, but sometimes they don't always fit. So sometimes it just, rather than slotting in satisfyingly, it just sort of sits on top, which is a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. And I guess that's a lot of the game, is collecting these meeples. And like I said, these meeples are really, really cool. There's 7 different colors. And yeah, they're really cool. These are really pretty meeples. But the trouble is that some of them, so these are bronze or brass and gold. And to be honest, they're really, really similar. They're really hard to see unless you've got perfect light. And sometimes the lilac and the purple ones can be really difficult to tell apart as well. If you're struggling, well, yeah, depending on the light, it can be really hard to see them. But they are really nice meeples. They're really pretty. And you're using them on this board. You might be able to build tracks. So you have these really nice transparent tiles, and you build these tiles between stations. They're transparent so that if there's another color, I'm using 2 green ones here, but you'll be able to see the other person's track behind yours. So a little bit like a subway station map that you see. And so you build stations, maybe if you're at a station, if the station's left, then you'll build tracks between them so you can pick up and drop off passengers. And you do that in your train, in your maglev train. And again, these are really cool, and you can fit 4 of these little meeples in. The trouble is that if you've only got 1 in there, they fall down and then you've got to tip it. So again, it's like really pretty and really gorgeous pieces, but not quite there, and I don't know why. The main board has 2 sides. It's got 2 different stations, 2 different cities rather, and again you're building these stations, and they also slot in. It's double layered as well. So again, really, really cool, really awesome stuff. But again, the stations really don't fit on the board very well, if I'm perfectly honest. And then once you've got some of the stations in, trying to fit these in, they're all supposed to fit next to each other, and it can be really difficult to get them to go in and fit in and stay in. Again, it's absolutely gorgeous looking, but it don't quite work. It's not quite there. I've talked a lot about the components that are beautiful, but not quite. What about the actual gameplay? So on your actions, you'll have two or maybe more, and you're trying to get these passengers in order to put them in. So you can only start picking up and dropping off pink passengers if you've also put in a silver and a brass one. But it is possible that someone could have taken all the brass ones and you just don't have any. So you can end up really losing out and behind. And then maybe somebody else has already built the pink station, so you can't do that anymore. You'll probably not be completely locked out of a colour, but it's easy to get locked out of a colour for a long time just because of the way the board falls. And you want to mitigate by moving. These are the actions you can take, and you're moving the meeples around. And one of the actions is adjust, so you can move one on this track. But that's it. It's like you might want to sort of adjust it so you can build 4 track. And so you adjust, and then you build the 4 tracks so you can get to a station, and then somebody else builds that station. Okay, that's the way it goes. But then you need to adjust again so that you can travel to that station and pick up the passengers, and maybe someone's beat you to those passengers. And both sides of the map feel slightly different, but it's still pretty much the same. And it just feels like you're constantly moving these pieces around. Now, I played this 1 player, 2 player, and 3 player. The solo game I found really boring and mechanical. I didn't enjoy it at all. 2 player and 3 player I enjoyed it. It's an interesting puzzle trying to score more points than your opponent, which also comes down to how you put people in this board. But it just felt like you were never able to do what you wanted. You always felt like you had to be taking actions to do something, or just compromising and doing something else. It never really felt fulfilling. It never really felt like you were building an engine. It just felt like you were sort of less of an engine and more of a move. You know, you build a move and then you've got to build another move. I really wanted to like this game. I really did. There's so much about it, the theme and the beautiful components, but like I said, the things, even the boards, you know, everything came bent. So even, I don't know, it's beautiful, it looks beautiful, it's not quite there, and it's really abstract to the theme. It sort of makes sense, but I mean, it could just be train, it could just be metro. Nothing about this says maglev, nothing. It could just be metro. And yeah, the actual game itself, there's just not enough. I know that there's more maps coming out which will give you different puzzles, and it's a puzzle, but it just doesn't, it's not a very interesting one for me. I'm not going to be keeping this. I bought it really hoping that I was going to like it, you know. I mean, I can only afford to buy so many games, and I only have time to play so many games. And this one was a real disappointment. So, yeah, sorry, Maglev Metro. Not a huge fan, I'm afraid, but that's me. Until next time, take care and bye bye.